Russian forces have repeatedly relied on their manpower advantage to overwhelm Ukrainian defenses through sheer numbers in Pokrovsk direction in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk Oblast. According to Euromaodan Press media outlet, this brutal tactic was starkly evident in their latest assault, where over 400 Russian soldiers launched a single-day offensive that ultimately highlighted the limits of numerical superiority against well-prepared and resolute defenders. The Russian goals toward Pokrovsk are centered on capturing the city and establishing a strategic foothold, as the city is a critical urban center, serving as a logistics and transport hub. A Ukrainian service member recently stated that Russian forces were redeploying a significant number of troops from Novooleksiivka to break through toward the line of villages in Shevchenko, Dachenske and Lysivka. While continuing to attack Dachensk and Lysivka, Russian commanders also put a lot of effort into advancing along the railway north of Zhovte to capture the village of Shevchenko. This move would allow them to put the Ukrainian forces defending Dachensk and Lysivka under additional pressure, threatening to collapse the rest of the Ukrainian defense line to the east. If successful, the Russians can also use Shevchenko as a staging ground for their future operations against Pokrovsk, as the village is close to one of the city neighborhoods. To achieve this, Russian forces engaged themselves in a desperate gamble, concentrating their efforts on this direction, launching wave after wave of infantry assaults. According to the Ukrainian fighter from the 24th Battalion, the Ukrainian reconnaissance counted hundreds of assault troops surging toward fortified Ukrainian positions. The aim appeared simple yet devastating: to overwhelm through sheer numbers, leveraging the human wave tactic that has become a hallmark of Russian regional operations. These troops were predominantly foot soldiers, advancing with non-substantial mechanized support due to the heavy losses of armored vehicles in the previous weeks. This even led to one assault captured by Ukrainian drone operators, showing how the Russians were trying to attack using a Ziguli Lada car, but failed spectacularly after being struck by a hail of bullets. Despite the scale of the assault, the Ukrainian defenders were well prepared to hold their ground. They were positioned strategically along the first line of defense and used a combination of entrenched positions, artillery, drones and minefields to devastating effect. Lieutenant Colonel Nazar Voloshin of the Ukrainian Armed Forces noted that minefields played a crucial role in their defense, destroying a significant portion of the scarce Russian military equipment at the very beginning of the assault. Without armored support, Russian troops advanced across open fields, leaving themselves highly exposed to Ukrainian counterfire. Waves of attackers were cut down before they could even approach the Ukrainian defensive lines, crushing into the well-coordinated and prepared resistance. Despite the Russians sending hundreds of soldiers to breach the front line, the relentless Ukrainian defenses turned the battlefield into a scene of devastation. Images shared by Ukrainian soldiers reveal the grim aftermath. The bodies of fallen Russian soldiers piled up high against a wall somewhere along this sector, evidence of the catastrophic failure of this high-casualty assault strategy. Overall, as the battle for Pokrovsk continues, it remains to be seen whether Russian forces will adapt or continue to pay a heavy price in pursuit of incremental gains by focusing on human wave tactics. For now, the defenders stand firm, turning what was intended to be a show of overwhelming force into a hugely costly tactical miscalculation.
Решили наши ребята разместиться внутри планеты. Итог закономерен. Такими темпами нас в Глушково и ни одного магазина не останется. Решили наши ребята разместиться внутри планеты. Итог закономерен. Такими темпами нас в Глушково и ни одного магазина не останется.
Russian forces will transfer their aircraft and helicopters from Syria to the Ukrainian front. Most of the aviation consists of Su-34 fighter bombers. This view was expressed by military expert Mikhailo Zhirokov during a broadcast on Radio NV. According to Zhirokov, developments in Syria are a disadvantage for Ukraine because the Russians will redeploy their aviation to the Ukrainian front. The Russians are already transferring or will soon transfer the planes and helicopters they had in Syria to the Ukrainian front. This is obvious. These will be trained crews and prepared technical teams. Unfortunately, the majority will be Su-34s, carriers of guided aerial bombs. Zhirokov explained. Regarding the Russian fleet, the expert believes that Turkey will not allow Russian ships to pass through the Bosphorus Strait. Additionally, it is unclear whether the ships will be able to navigate the area around Gibraltar. In any case, if they are allowed through, the ships will head to the Northern Fleet. That is, they will have no direct impact on events at our front. However, the aircraft and helicopters unfortunately present a concerning situation, Zhirokov stated. It is currently unknown exactly how many Russian soldiers were in Syria. It is likely to be a contingent of several thousand, states military expert Ivan Stupak. According to the expert, there are indeed concerns that the Russian Federation may transfer its air components from Syria to Ukraine. However, the exact number of these troops is not known. There is such a concern. Look, there is no precise data on how many were in Syria, but there are some isolated figures. For example, in terms of personnel, I have seen materials mentioning 2,000 to 4,000 and at most 7,500 people, the Russian contingent in Syria. But we remember that they didn't operate on the ground. They mainly carried out precision strikes with precision weapons, said Stupak. He explained that the Russian troops who were in Syria mainly operated from the air. These were pilots, as Syria reportedly had 20 aircraft and around 10 helicopters. Therefore, I assume, my personal assumption, that it is this air component that will be sent to the Ukrainian front lines to reinforce Russia. So it's not about assault aircraft, although they could send all the assault aircraft right away. For Russia, that wouldn't be a problem, emphasized the expert. He also noted that Russia likely managed to negotiate with Turkey for a corridor to move its equipment. However, this is a very fast corridor designed to transport aircraft and helicopters. I don't know about the S-300, S-400 systems, whether they'll be able to move them or not, the expert emphasized.